Taylor Starling just sent a brutal warning to the entire women's MMA world, and somehow Dakota Ditcheva became the center of the storm because after BKFC Blood for Blood in Daytona Beach, fans stopped asking whether Taylor Starling still belonged in the spotlight and started asking a much more dangerous question. What happens if Killa Bee ever collides with Dakota Ditcheva? Taylor Starling didn't just win her latest fight, she went to war.
She's got to fight back. She got to fight back.
With bare knuckle, I want to fight for you guys. Please give me a damn fight because the
Originally scheduled to face Marisol Ruelas, the entire matchup changed at the last second when Sydney Smith stepped in on short notice. But while most fighters panic when opponents suddenly change, Taylor adapted instantly and turned the fight into pure violence. The moment the bell rang, she marched forward throwing non-stop pressure, heavy combinations, and brutal bare-knuckle aggression until Sydney Smith simply couldn't survive anymore. By the second round, the referee had seen enough. TKO victory, another violent statement made, and suddenly the BKFC savage known as Killa Bee was back in the headlines. But the biggest story wasn't the finish itself, it was who fans immediately started connecting her to next: Dakota Ditcheva, the undefeated PFL superstar many now call the future of women's MMA. 15 fights, 15 wins, 12 knockouts, elite Muay Thai striking, vicious body shots, and the kind of calm violence that makes opponents freeze before the damage even starts. Dakota Ditcheva isn't a normal prospect anymore. She's becoming one of the most feared names in women's combat sports, and now even bare-knuckle fighters are circling around her name. What makes this potential matchup so fascinating is how completely different these two women are, because Taylor Starling is chaos while Dakota Ditcheva is precision. Taylor built her reputation the hard way through bloody wars, brutal exchanges, and non-stop pressure inside the unforgiving world of BKFC. She's not polished, she's not corporate, and she's definitely not manufactured. She's a mother of two who earned respect by surviving violence and embracing ugly fights that
so close, but so far. Go home or go hard. How can I stop when I come this far? I smile outside. Deep down I'm scarred. They only see the results. The pain, they don't know the half. This part of my last
most people would run from. Her nickname, Killa Bee, came from brutal sparring sessions against bigger opponents where she refused to back down no matter how hard things got. Taylor doesn't care about looking technical or clean. She wants pressure, aggression, and damage. The more violent a fight becomes, the more dangerous she gets. Dakota Ditcheva is the complete opposite.
She's in big trouble. Dakota Ditcheva to the body again for a championship.
Because she doesn't rely on chaos, she relies on surgical destruction. Her Muay Thai striking is terrifying because everything she throws has purpose. Every knee lands clean, every body shot breaks opponents down, and every combination feels perfectly timed. She doesn't swing wildly or waste movement. She dissects fighters piece by piece until they finally collapse under pressure. That's why Dana White himself praised her finishing ability and aggression. That's why fighters across UFC, PFL, and even BKFC keep mentioning her name. Dakota doesn't just beat opponents, she makes violence look effortless. And that's why this potential collision feels so dangerous, because it's not just striker versus striker, it's bare-knuckle chaos versus elite Muay Thai precision. Taylor Starling thrives when fights become ugly and unpredictable, while Dakota punishes mistakes with ruthless efficiency. One wild exchange could completely change everything, because in striking battles, especially against women this dangerous, a single mistake can end the night instantly. On paper, Dakota would probably enter the fight as the favorite because her striking is cleaner, sharper, and more proven at elite MMA level, but combat sports don't always follow logic. Taylor represents unpredictability, the kind of fearless pressure that forces opponents into mistakes they normally never make. She's willing to walk through damage just to break fighters mentally, and that creates a completely different type of danger. Fans keep asking the same question now: has Dakota Ditcheva ever faced someone this fearless before? Someone who genuinely enjoys chaos and doesn't care about taking damage if it means dragging you into a war? Because that's exactly the energy Taylor Starling brings every time she fights. But while Taylor was sending shockwaves through BKFC, another massive
head kick, it's it. Oh my God. Oh
Valentina Shevchenko!
I mean, that was a perfectly placed
conversation exploded around Dakota Ditcheva, and this time it involved one of the biggest voices in MMA history, Joe Rogan. According to Rogan, If Dakota ever steps into the cage against Valentina Shevchenko right now, things could get very ugly because Valentina at 120
increments, because Valentina at 125 is just a fucking monster.
Yeah.
She's a monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's
Y'all do not know me. I feel like I'm Kobe. That boy really tough on his dozy. Nice. I keep it jigging.
5 pounds is still considered one of the most complete and terrifying female fighters ever seen in MMA. Rogan called her a monster, a killer, and a different level of fighter entirely. And honestly, it's hard to argue against that. Valentina Shevchenko is a UFC champion, one of the greatest women's flyweights in history, and one of the most technically perfect strikers the sport has ever produced. Her striking isn't just powerful, it's surgical. She controls distance perfectly, punishes mistakes instantly, and barely absorbs damage while dismantling opponents with cold precision.
oh, head kick, it's in. Oh my God. Oh
Valentina
my God.
Shevchenko.
I mean, that was a perfectly placed hit. This is terrible.
And now she'll just start to batter her way slowly. Just dropping punches.
Priscilla Cachoeira can relate to this treatment in
John,
Valentina's flyweight debut.
John, I was grabbing my paper to try to find her name. But I mean, this is exactly what happened to Priscilla. And Valentina is going to beat her up.
Yeah, it looks like she opened her up with one of those elbows.
Big Dan is
Stoppage
looking
could come
very
here.
closely.
As it should be.
That's it.
And still, the UFC flyweight champion. Is there anyone who has anything for her at 125?
What a dominant performance.
UFC records, elite Muay Thai background, knockout power, incredible fight IQ, and years of championship experience make Valentina a nightmare matchup for almost anyone alive. But Dakota Ditcheva is different from most challengers because she's bringing a new kind of danger into women's MMA. Undefeated, explosive, aggressive, younger, faster, and carrying knockout power that feels genuinely frightening. Dakota has been steamrolling opponents in PFL and building hype at a terrifying pace. Her knees, body shots, and pressure have already created viral knockout moments, and fans
sprinkle by TKO or KO. I will tell you, the confidence that she's going to have now getting up is going to be unbelievable. And there it is.
Beautiful knee from the plum. And Ditcheva beckons Jenna Bishop back to her feet and goes immediately on the attack. Oh, right hand. Trouble. And that does it. First round finish, and Dakota Ditcheva silences.
are now seriously discussing whether she could become the woman who eventually takes over Valentina's throne. Joe Rogan believes there are levels to fighting, and according to him, Valentina still exists on a level above almost everyone else because where Dakota is explosive, Valentina is perfectly calculated. Where Dakota pressures, Valentina punishes. But then another side of the conversation exploded because later discussions around Rogan's comments made fans believe he also sees Dakota as the future of women's MMA. Rogan described her as one of the most dangerous strikers since Valentina herself, a fighter combining precision, timing, and violence at an elite level. Suddenly, the narrative shifted from Dakota gets destroyed to Dakota might eventually become the next queen. That's how fast the hype around her is growing.
He's really hurt her. And the body work, and that'll do it! Dakota Ditcheva!
Dakota Ditcheva isn't just another rising fighter anymore. She's becoming the most dangerous name in women's MMA, the kind of fighter that makes champions nervous, legends pay attention, and fans start believing a complete takeover is coming because when Dana White, Kayla Harrison, and even UFC fighters start talking about one woman.
Boom!
I haven't watched the PFL.
It's good. Good fights, good fighters. One of the most feminine people ever. She's beautiful. She's a gorgeous woman. She looks like a model. It has nothing to do with men beating each other up. It has nothing to do with brutishness. It has to do with high-level problem solving with dire physical consequences.
Sprinkle by TKO or KO. I will tell you, the confidence that she's going to have now getting up is going to be unbelievable. And there it is.
Beautiful knee from the plum. And Ditcheva beckons Jenna Bishop back to her feet and goes immediately on the attack. Oh, right hand. Trouble. And that does it. First round finish, and Dakota Ditcheva silences.
Like she's the future of violence in MMA, that's no longer hype. That's a warning to the entire sport. Dana White recently praised Kayla Harrison as a monster, a beast, and one of the greatest female fighters of all time. But hidden in...
You feel right now, looking at the two people who are fighting for their belt, you could beat them right now. Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, I think I could.
yeah, I definitely think
Inside those comments was a bigger message about the future of women's MMA, because while Kayla Harrison dominates through pressure, grappling, and brutal control, there's another fighter rising through the sport using pure destruction, and that fighter is Dakota Ditcheva. Kayla Harrison is already terrifying enough for almost every woman alive in MMA, with 2 Olympic gold medals in judo, world-class grappling, suffocating top pressure, and the ability to break.
Come here. Yeah.
Opponents mentally the second she locks her hands around them, because once Kayla drags fighters to the mat, the fight instantly changes into survival mode. She doesn't rush finishes, she slowly destroys opponents with ground and pound, pressure, and non-stop damage until they completely fall apart. But while Kayla controls fights, Dakota Ditcheva ends them. 15 fights, 15 wins, 12 knockouts, and every finish feels more brutal than the last, because Dakota doesn't outpoint people, she hurts them. Her Muay Thai striking is terrifying, not because it's wild, but because it's calculated. Violence. Every body shot lands with purpose, every knee feels like it shuts an opponent's system down, and every combination comes fast, sharp, and vicious. She fights like she's trying to erase opponents from the rankings entirely, and the scariest part is how calm she looks while doing it, because most knockout artists rely on chaos while Dakota relies on precision.
Oh, head kick, it's in. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, that was a perfectly placed.
She stalks opponents, cuts angles, attacks the body, and slowly breaks fighters down before exploding with combinations that leave veterans looking helpless. That's why people inside the sport are taking her seriously now, because Kayla Harrison didn't dismiss Dakota. She didn't call her overrated or inexperienced. Instead, she called her the real deal, a killer, and the future of MMA. And when someone with Kayla's experience says that publicly, fighters listen, because Kayla has trained with elite athletes her entire career and knows exactly what championship-level talent looks like. That's why the idea of Dakota Ditcheva versus Kayla Harrison suddenly feels like one of the biggest possible fights in women's MMA, because stylistically it's chaos waiting to happen. Dakota is speed, knockout power, and violent precision, while Kayla is control, pressure, and domination. Dakota needs space to operate, while Kayla takes space away instantly. One clean takedown from Kayla could completely change the fight, but one clean knee or body shot from Dakota could end everything in seconds. That's what makes the matchup terrifying, because both women seem built to expose each other's biggest weaknesses. And then there's...
This girl is super green. She turned 20 2 months ago. She's really talented. She's got a ton of heart.
Cris Cyborg, one of the most feared women in MMA history, a fighter who built her legacy on pressure, power, aggression, and violence for years. But now even her name is being connected to Dakota Ditcheva, because Kayla Harrison openly warned people about Dakota's striking and talked about her like she's something fighters can't survive. That's a completely different level of respect, because Kayla has seen Dakota train up close and understands how dangerous those shots really are. Stylistically, Dakota versus Cyborg would be absolute war, because Cyborg overwhelms opponents with aggression, while Dakota dismantles them piece by piece with speed and precision. The veteran versus the future, the legend versus the next generation, and honestly, Dakota may already be faster, sharper.
This girl is super green. She turned 20 2 months ago. She's really talented.
And technically cleaner than Cyborg at this stage. That's why fans are obsessed with the matchup, because if Dakota beats Cyborg, that isn't just another win, that becomes a changing of the guard moment for women's MMA. But Dakota's ambitions go even further, because she's not begging for a UFC contract or acting grateful just to be mentioned beside champions. She openly talks about fighting the best women in the world and destroying entire divisions. And that confidence is rare, because most prospects avoid pressure.
Brinkle by TKO or KO, I will tell you the confidence that she's going to have now getting up is going to be unbelievable.
And there it is. Beautiful knee from the plum. And Ditcheva beckons Jenna Bishop back to her feet and goes immediately on the attack. Oh, right hand.
While Dakota sounds like someone who fully believes she can walk into the UFC and immediately take over. And after watching her recent performances, it's getting hard to say she's wrong, because when Dakota fought Taylor Santos, The same woman who pushed Valentina Shevchenko to one of the toughest fights of her career, Dakota didn't struggle, she broke her down and dominated her. That